Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us. More information about those coupon codes can be found at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, or the Money tab for the coupon codes. Well, Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Emily Teuscher is the creative host at Copper Spoon Inn. She's an author, podcaster, crafter, and more. She shares all of this on social media and has a cookbook coming out called the Copper Spoon Chronicles Cookbook. Welcome to the program, Emily.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Well, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to not only educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. And I'll start with this. How did you get into cooking? Was it this something you have always enjoyed, or was it something that you learned later on in life and was like, hey, this might be the journey I need to go on?
Yeah, honestly, ever since I was a little kid, I grew up cooking. I have memories of sitting at the counter at my grandma's house and me and my sisters arguing over who got to make the guacamole. So cooking has been very ingrained in my family ever since I was very, very little. And we've been cooking meals for ourselves since before I could remember, really.
Do you remember a go-to or a specific meal that really, when you have it today, it's like you're sitting back with your family around the table?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely spoon tacos. It's basically like white person tacos in a casserole form. It's one of my favorite recipes, and we would have it every single time we went to my grandparents' house.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
That's funny. All right, so you have this I guess, I don't really, know what to call it. But
yeah, it's an inn. I-N-N, yeah.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for, the Copper Spoon Inn?
So when we were first starting to do it, like me and my now fiance, we've always loved fantasy things like Lord of the Rings. We play a lot of D&D. And at the time, I was actually making content on TikTok as an artist. We ran an Etsy shop together. I was doing wood burnings and that sort of thing. And one day I decided I didn't have enough time to finish my art project, but I still wanted to post. So I just filmed a video of me making soup, and I threw some Lord of the Rings music in on the background. And it was like right around when a bunch of taverns were starting to go viral on TikTok and stuff too. And overnight, the video got like 3 million views. So really the tavern found us. It was just kind of a coincidence that it all happened. And then it kind of launched off from there.
Yeah, we hear that story in the gardening genre and other things that, I'm just doing this, it's fun. And then all of a sudden you hit this magical spot that you don't know what you did. You wish you could duplicate it, but you're riding it because it's fun, and all of a sudden your video just hits in a mark that never could be duplicated.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
All right, so your book is coming out November 18th. It's called the Copper Spoon Chronicles Cookbook. Please tell us all about it, what people can expect when they go through it, maybe what type of recipes are in there, and why they should pick up a copy.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different types of recipes in the cookbook, but the thing that makes this cookbook kind of like stand out compared to others is that it's not just a cookbook, it's also a fantasy story. So it is a tavern, and we want it to be fantasy themed. We try to give a vibe of an adventurer walking through and getting their meal. And so very early on, when I knew we wanted to do a cookbook, I knew I wanted to have an element of story where it's this girl telling you the story of how she found all of her recipes. But it's not just my grandma gave me this recipe, or I went on a trip to Italy. It's I went and I fought a dragon, and then the butcher who butchered the dragon taught me how to make this meal for it, Right. So it's not just a cookbook. It's following the story of Copper Spoon and how she leaves her hometown of just a couple hundred people, and she gets to go and experience the real world for the first time, and adventure for the first time, and gain all of these recipes from different people around this fantasy world.
I'm guessing dragon steaks are probably a very high commodity, very, very costly.
Oh, Oh, 1000%. Very costly. It was really fun coming up with all of the different sort of like fantasy recipes. It was very difficult because I had a lot of the recipes already there. But then I was like, oh, I have to make this something interesting now. It can't just be a chicken sandwich. It has to be something cool, you know?
So in the cookbook, what is the range? Very simplistic to very elaborate, complicated, intense? Is that kind of where we're looking at, or is there kind of a medium, easy, simplistic level? What can we expect?
It's a combination of all. I do a lot of like homemade stuff. I don't like using a ton of canned products. So a lot of it is like from scratch cooking. There are recipes that are super simple, only have a couple ingredients. And then there's recipes where it's like, this is going to take you some time, but you're really going to enjoy it by the end of it. There's a bunch of homemade breads and soups and very comforting food for the most part.
Well, you growing up in your world and many of our listeners having that grandmother or that mother who did that intense cooking, we can appreciate the flavor and the love that goes into these dishes, not just something very quick that you warm up in a pot.
Oh yeah, my stepmom and her mom used to do homemade canning, and we'd literally take a week off of school and we'd go to Yakima and we'd just pick a bunch of vegetables ourselves and spend an entire week in the living room sitting and making things homemade. So I'm very used to having this homegrown cooking. And so I love incorporating that into the tavern and just being like, this is how you can do it yourself. And you don't always have to buy things from a store if you don't want to, you know?
And whenever you take a week off from school to can, that is real work. Whenever you're sitting there cutting and snapping peas and all that's intense, because we talk about canning on the program quite a bit. And it is not we'll get to it, let's just take a break. You've got to move quickly to make things happen safely.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I remember staying up into the early morning just watching a pressure pot, like, okay, when's it gonna hit that number, you know?
That's really fun. So you go to cosplay type conventions, kind of like, if most people aren't familiar, like Comic-Con or other type of conventions. How did you get into that? Is that something you've always been into? What are some of your favorite things about them? And when you cosplay there, are you like, as you're the innkeeper? Is that kind of what you do? So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I've known about cons for a very long time, but never got to go to them. But when I met my now fiance, Brett, he had been to cons before, and we were really stepping into like the tavern and social media universe. And so we started to reach out to cons and see about getting tickets to go. And so I actually went to my first con. I want to say it was either 2 or 3 years ago, and it was Rose City Comic-Con. It's in Portland, Oregon. It's a really good one because it's big without being massive like some of the ones on the East Coast. And we have always gone as our tavern persona. But the thing I love about cons is that it is literally for everybody. If you love Disney movies, you see cosplayers who are dressing up as Disney princesses. If you love anime, you see people who have spent hours on these elaborate costumes. And it's just like a melting pot for everybody who is in that nerddom kind of group. Anybody who likes characters and fantasy and things that are an escape from reality. And that's what I love about conventions. It's just a culmination of people who have that same mindset of enjoying the things that are not real, you know?
Right. And this whole environment, this is your golf game. This is your car collecting. This is your camping. This is what you put your money, your fun money in. And this is your enjoyment, your vacation type of thing.
Exactly. It is crazy seeing. I can't even get started. I love dressing in like fantasy fashion, but there are some people who will put hundreds of thousands of hours into one outfit for one day for once a year. And it's crazy seeing the amount of work that some people put into this just because they simply love it and they love these characters and they connected with them. Now,
is there competitions on who creates the best costume, or is it just everybody gets together and goes, hey, I like that. That's a cool How does that work in a convention?
So they do have competitions for the actual people who have made costumes. They'll have like a homemade costume competition as well as like a store-bought costume competition, just so there's not like competition there. But they do have contests, but for the most part, I've seen hundreds of thousands of people show up to these cons in costumes, and maybe 15 or 20 of them actually enter the contest for best costume.
It's the environment.
Exactly. A lot of it is just the environment. They also there's a lot of like actors and people from movies who come and they do panels where you can actually go up and ask them questions. So it's really fun getting to meet some of those people who are behind the characters as well.
Yeah, it's definitely looks. I have a lot of friends who go to them, and it looks like a lot of fun. And
for people who are not into that type of thing, can somebody go that's not dressed up just to enjoy the environment, or do you is kind of required you have to dress up?
Oh, you can 1000% go. There's a ton of people who go and just enjoy it. Most conventions have huge artist alleys where there's a bunch of small business and artists who are just selling their wares, and that's how they're really known, is for going to these cons. There's authors, there's people you can meet, and there's no requirements really. Like the biggest thing is just no real weapons, which is hard for some of the cosplayers because it's easier to just buy a replica sword online. But a lot of people get very creative with foam and glue.
That is a lot of fun. So are you going to promote your book at one of these cons and have a booth or a table, whatever they call it?
That is definitely the goal one year. We just recently, this past year, we were invited to go to Rose City Comic Con as a creator. And unfortunately, the cookbook wasn't out quite yet, so we couldn't do anything there. We're definitely planning on reaching out to some more cons and trying to plan some more events like that.
Well, what is your favorite go-to comfort meal?
So my favorite comfort meal is, and I guess it's not like a specific meal, but it's just sandwiches. I am notoriously known for making a sandwich out of literally anything. If there's bread on my plate, it will become a sandwich with everything else that's there. So anything in between two slices of bread is my go-to comfort meal.
I see.
So I've never seen the Friends episode where Ross what's his name, Monica, Ross's sister, makes him like a leftover turkey sandwich with the moist maker in the middle. Have you ever made anything that was like so in depth where it's such a good sandwich that somebody would lose their mind over it?
Oh, I have so many of them, and the problem is I never remember what they are because it is usually that where it's just these are 3 different leftovers I found in my fridge. I'm somehow going to put it together.
A one-time thing type of, yeah.
Exactly. Imagine the Scooby-Doo sandwich every single time.
That's a lot of fun. I do need to ask, and I'm sure other people are probably curious, like the spoon tacos, the taco casserole, is it just like beans, taco meat, cheese? Like, what are the ingredients? Is there something that you can find easily online? I need to know now.
So this is actually one of the recipes in the cookbook because I love it so much, and it's literally just seasoned taco beef mixed with beans. You can do refried or black beans, but we always did like whole black beans, and then you do a layer of crushed up chips over the top of that, and then you put on literal lettuce, tomatoes if you like tomatoes, sour cream drizzled all over it, and then you top it with cheese and just bake it in the oven just long enough for the cheese to be melted.
Well, Emily, we greatly appreciate your time. How can people find the book? Where can they go when it comes out November 18th? Where's the destination?
Yeah, so you can order the Copper Spoon Chronicles wherever books are sold. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. If you just Google the Copper Spoon Chronicles, no space between copper and spoon, then it should pop up on any website, including international websites.
Well, Emily, thank you so much for your time and your information, not only cookbooks, but the Comic-Con and all of that. So thank you so much for your time educating Holly, myself, and all of our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really nice talking to you guys.
Absolutely. And when